Ever wondered how medieval hunters survived winters so brutal they'd kill modern people within days? Historical records reveal shocking survival tricks that went far beyond normal hunting. These were desperate, often horrifying techniques that meant the difference between life and death. These weren't gentle methods, but absolutely brutal survival tactics that modern hunters would never dare attempt. Ready to discover the most extreme winter survival arsenal ever used? 1. Ice fishing. Medieval hunters developed brutal ice fishing techniques that involved breaking through frozen water sources using primitive tools and fishing in water so cold it could cause death within minutes of exposure. This desperate method provided crucial protein when land game became impossible to track or hunt during severe winter conditions. Monastic fishing records describe ice fishing techniques that required understanding ice thickness, water flow patterns, and fish behavior. During winter months, the process involved creating fishing holes using heated stones, maintaining open water in freezing conditions, and fishing with improvised equipment when standard tools failed or were unavailable. Different ice fishing methods offered varying success rates: night fishing when fish were more active, using animal entrails as bait, and creating fish traps from available materials. Emergency ice fishing included techniques for fishing without proper equipment, creating hooks from bones and metal scraps, and preserving caught fish in natural freezers created by snow and ice. Survival manuals detail ice fishing safety methods that prevented hunters from falling through ice or dying from exposure while maintaining fishing holes. The technique required understanding seasonal fish patterns, locating winter fish populations, and creating fishing methods that worked despite numb hands and limited visibility during winter storms. 2. Scavenging corpses. Medieval hunters practiced systematic corpse scavenging during harsh winters when fresh kills became impossible to obtain, searching for frozen animal remains that could provide life-saving sustenance. This desperate technique involved locating winter-killed animals and harvesting any usable meat, fat, and materials before starvation became inevitable. Winter hunting records describe scavenging techniques that distinguish between safe and dangerous. Carrion, identifying recently frozen carcasses versus decomposed remains, recognizing signs of disease in dead animals, and understanding which body parts remained edible after extended freezing. The process required specific knowledge about carrion safety and preparation methods that prevented death from contaminated meat. Guild documents detail systematic scavenging approaches, following scavenger birds to locate fresh carrion, checking traditional animal death sites during harsh weather, and creating carrion storage methods that preserve found meat for extended periods. Emergency scavenging included harvesting bones for tools, collecting hide for emergency clothing, and utilizing every part of found carcasses for survival purposes. Medieval survival texts describe carrion preparation techniques that made questionable meat safe for consumption, extended cooking methods, combination with antiseptic herbs, and fermentation processes that neutralized dangerous bacteria while preserving nutritional value through desperate winter months. 3. Marrow. Eating. Medieval hunters survived winter starvation by consuming raw bone marrow directly from fresh kills, providing concentrated calories and essential fats when other food sources became completely unavailable. During harsh weather conditions, this technique involved cracking open leg bones immediately after kills and consuming marrow while still warm and liquid. Trading Guild records describe marrow consumption techniques that maximized nutritional extraction from limited kills, identifying bones with highest marrow content, using specific breaking methods that preserved maximum marrow, and consuming marrow in precise sequences that optimized caloric absorption. Different animal marrows provided varying survival benefits based on fat content and nutritional density. Expedition chronicles detailed marrow extraction methods, heating bones over fires to liquefy marrow using specialized bone-cracking tools, and creating marrow storage techniques for extended expeditions. Emergency marrow consumption included mixing marrow with herbs for enhanced nutrition, combining different animal marrows for complete nutritional profiles, and utilizing marrow for both immediate sustenance and long-term energy storage. Nutrition records show marrow consumption could sustain hunters for weeks when other food sources failed, providing concentrated nutrition that prevented starvation during extended winter hunts, where fresh kills became increasingly rare due to animal hibernation and migration patterns. 4. Bone tools medieval. Hunters crafted essential winter survival tools from animal bones. When metal tools broke or were lost during expeditions, this wasn't simple crafting, it was desperate improvisation using whatever materials dead animals provided for creating life-saving equipment in emergency situations. Hunting expedition journals describe bone tool creation techniques that turned fresh kills into complete survival workshops. Different bones offered varying tool possibilities: leg bones for spear points and arrowheads, rib bones for cutting implements, and skull fragments for containers and scrapers. The technique required understanding bone density and grain patterns to create tools that wouldn't shatter during critical survival moments. Crafting manuals detail specific bone preparation methods, breaking bones while still warm for easier shaping, using heated stones for bone carving, and creating composite tools by binding multiple bone pieces together. Emergency bone tool creation included making fishing hooks from small bones, creating fire-starting implements from marrow-rich bones, and fashioning emergency weapons from antler materials. Medieval tool-making records show bone implements often proved more reliable than metal tools during extended winter expeditions, because they didn't become brittle in extreme cold, like iron and steel implements did. 5. Hide-wearing medieval hunters wore fresh animal hides with fur still attached as emergency clothing during winter expeditions when hypothermia threatened immediate death. This brutal technique involved skinning kills quickly and wrapping bloody hides around the body while animal heat still remained, creating instant insulation that could prevent freezing. Field expedition logs describe hide-wearing techniques that utilized different animal skins for varying protection levels: deer hides for wind resistance, bear pelts for maximum warmth, and smaller animal furs for hand and foot protection. The process required specific skinning methods that preserved maximum fur coverage while enabling rapid application during emergency situations. Survival instructions detailed hide preparation techniques, scraping excess flesh while preserving fat layers for insulation, creating fastening systems from animal sinew, and layering multiple hides for enhanced protection. Emergency hide application included wrapping techniques that prevented frostbite while maintaining mobility for continued hunting activities. Hunting manuscripts describe desperate hide-wearing scenarios where hunters survived week-long blizzards by continuously replacing frozen hides with fresh ones from subsequent kills, creating rotating clothing systems that maintained body heat through extended winter emergencies that would otherwise prove fatal to exposed humans. 6. Gut shelters medieval. Hunters used fresh animal intestines and stomach cavities as emergency shelters during blizzards that could kill within minutes. The technique involved rapidly gutting large kills and crawling inside the warm body cavity while organs still retained heat, creating life-saving insulation against deadly cold. Chronicle records describe hunters surviving week-long storms by rotating between multiple carcasses. As each cooled, different animals provided varying shelter effectiveness. Large deer offered several hours of warmth, wild boar cavities provided better wind protection, and bear carcasses could shelter hunters. Overnight, emergency gut shelters required specific cutting techniques to maximize internal space while preserving heat retention. Medieval hunting guides detailed precise evisceration methods for creating survival chambers from fresh kills. 7. Hunters burned rendered animal fat as emergency fuel during winter expeditions when firewood became impossible to find under deep snow. The technique involved harvesting fat deposits from kills and creating primitive candles or torches that burned longer and hotter than wood, providing crucial warmth for survival. Monastery survival guides describe fat-burning techniques that could maintain body temperature through Arctic nights when traditional fires failed. Different fat types offered varying burning properties. Bear fat provided the longest burn duration. Deer fat created hottest flames, and wild boar fat produced less smoke for concealed warmth. The process required specific rendering methods to create portable fuel sources that hunters could carry for emergency heating. Medieval expedition reports detail fat-burning survival stories, where hunters stayed alive for weeks using only harvested animal fats as their primary heat source. Emergency fat preparation involved dangerous techniques, cutting fat while animals were still warm, mixing different fat types for optimal burning. and creating fat-based torches that could ignite even in wet conditions. 8. Blood drinking, medieval. Hunters discovered that drinking fresh animal blood provided immediate warmth and essential nutrients during winter hunts. This wasn't ceremonial, it was survival necessity when hypothermia threatened death within hours. The technique involved cutting major arteries immediately after kill and consuming warm blood before it coagulated, providing instant calories and liquid warmth. Hunting manuscripts describe blood consumption as standard practice during extended winter expeditions. Different blood types offered varying survival benefits: deer blood for sustained energy, wild boar blood for immediate warming, and rabbit blood for emergency hydration when water sources froze completely. 9. Trap networks, medieval. Hunters created extensive trap networks across winter territories. Using brutal techniques that could injure or kill animals through slow, agonizing methods that ensured meat procurement when active hunting became impossible due to extreme weather conditions. Village administrative records describe trap network systems that covered miles of territory with interconnected snares, deadfalls, and pitfall traps designed to capture any animal movement during winter months when food scarcity threatened human survival. The technique involved understanding animal movement patterns, creating trap types for different species, and maintaining trap networks despite harsh weather conditions. Different trap designs offered varying capture. Effectiveness: spring snares for small game, deadfall traps for medium animals, and pit traps for large game that could feed entire hunting parties. Emergency trap construction included creating traps from available materials, using animal parts as trap components, and designing trap systems that required minimal maintenance during extended winter periods. Trap construction guides detail brutal efficiency methods, creating traps that killed quickly to prevent meat spoilage, designing trap networks that funneled animals toward capture points, and building trap systems that could operate effectively even when hunters couldn't check them regularly due to severe weather conditions. Medieval hunting regulations describe trap network limitations that prevented overtrapping while ensuring hunters could maintain enough traps to survive harsh winters. When other food procurement methods failed completely, 10-pack hunting medieval hunters formed desperate pack hunting groups during extreme winters, using coordinated attack methods that could take down large, dangerous animals through overwhelming numbers when individual hunting became too risky for survival. This brutal technique involved multiple hunters attacking single large prey using primitive weapons and accepting significant injury risks. Guild formation documents describe pack hunting organization that brought together hunters from different areas during crisis winters when normal hunting territories couldn't support individual survival. The technique required coordination between hunters who might normally compete, sharing limited resources and accepting dangerous hunting methods that individual hunters couldn't attempt safely. Different pack hunting strategies targeted varying prey types, coordinated deer drives that exhausted animals through persistent pursuit, dangerous boar hunting that required multiple spear-wielding hunters, and bear hunting that could provide enough meat to sustain entire hunting groups through extended winter periods. Emergency pack formation included temporary alliances between rival hunting groups, resource sharing agreements, and coordinated territory coverage that maximized hunting success. Battle formation records detailed pack hunting techniques that borrowed military coordination methods, using horn signals for coordination, implementing flanking maneuvers during animal pursuits, and creating backup systems when primary hunters were injured during dangerous animal encounters. Medieval hunting chronicles describe pack hunting scenarios where hunter groups survived entire winters through coordinated efforts that individual hunters couldn't manage, creating temporary communities focused solely on winter survival through brutal but effective group hunting methods. Modern versus medieval hunting contemporary eliminated the brutal desperation that medieval hunters faced daily. Today's hunters carry GPS devices, high-tech clothing, and emergency communication systems that make survival almost guaranteed. While medieval hunters accepted death as a likely outcome during winter expeditions, professional hunting guides note the stark differences between modern comfort hunting and medieval survival hunting. Modern hunters returned to warm vehicles and heated shelters, while medieval hunters lived outdoors for months using only what they killed. Contemporary hunting regulations prevent the brutal methods medieval hunters used routinely, drinking animal blood, crawling inside carcasses, and eating raw organs would horrify modern hunters. Equipment comparisons reveal the survival gap. Modern hunters use advanced firearms, thermal scopes, and weather-resistant gear, while medieval hunters relied on primitive bows, basic spears, and whatever materials they could harvest from kills. Survival training experts studying medieval techniques found that most modern hunters lack the physical and mental toughness required for medieval-style winter survival, proving how much hunting has changed from life-or-death necessity to recreational activity with safety guarantees. Medieval hunter survival techniques offer crucial lessons for modern emergency preparedness that could save lives when technology fails and comfortable survival assumptions prove worthless. These brutal methods demonstrate human adaptability and resourcefulness that modern people have largely lost through dependence on technology and comfort. Emergency preparedness. Experts studying medieval techniques found practical applications for contemporary survival situations, understanding that every part of killed animals provides survival resources. Recognizing that survival requires accepting uncomfortable and brutal necessities and learning that mental toughness matters more than equipment quality.